I want to get into the winners and losers of this first week because I think it's very interesting. I think everyone is very, obviously it's only been a weekend, but initial reactions here. So Kayla, we'll start off with you. What's one winner you think of the first week of free agency?
So my winner is, I'm thinking that my winner is the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs as a winner because they have Kyle Long and they got Joe Tooney. And so I feel like those two guys are really key pieces for them that they've acquired throughout free agency, and that they're just continuing to build like capital investment really in Patrick Mahomes and in giving him weapons and defenders and just people to help him out there. So I think that for me, it's the Chiefs I like to see that they are continuing to strive for success. Like despite the loss of Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, I think that they are trying to replace these guys, and I think that they are doing well right now in free agency to make sure that they maintain their status and make sure they maintain themselves as a top-notch Super Bowl caliber team. And so I like what they've done so far. So for me, the Chiefs are my winner.
You know what? I'm not going to go a team. I'm going to go a player. Cam Newton. He's a winner because we talked about the lack of weapons, the lack of defense, the lack of everything that New England had last season. And now Bill Belichick has decided that I'm going to write the biggest check that I can. They've invested, hundreds of millions of dollars now in long-term deals. When you talk about signing Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, you get Henry Anderson, Cody Davis, Hunter Henry was the big one, Jonnu Smith. So with those targets now, and I think specifically Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Nelson Aguilar, who had a great bounce back season. We kind of ran him out of town in Philly for good reason, too, because as that guy said in that famous video, a lot of people out there could catch better than Aguilar at the time. But he bounced back with Las Vegas. Give him credit. He got his money, got to go to New England. And I think for Cam Newton, there's no more excuse. Bill Belichick is giving him weapons. The defense is going to come back better. And I think this is really Cam's last final stand to show that he can be a quality starting quarterback. Because if not, this back half of his career is going to be as a backup. If he can't do it in New England with this retooling and this rebuilding, the Patriots should be a playoff team, and it's going to fall on Cam Newton to take them there.
I completely agree. And the Patriots were one of mine. And we were talking last week on this show, and like, we weren't sure if Bill Belichick was going to spend, and we were like, maybe they're not going to build around Cam Newton. And they did, and they're going to give him a shot. And that's why I love this move most, because I think a lot of people give Cam a lot of flack. And I'm a person, like, he's played with the Panthers all those years. I had to watch him play and light up the Saints a few times. And he's a guy that I think he's not going to be that 2015 MVP guy. But if he can put that 2017 level when he made the playoffs with the Panthers, where he was able to run, he was able to, throw the ball well. He wasn't like the best thrower, but he was a solid player. Because even if he could be a game manager plus that running ability, especially in the red zone, I mean, it's really, good luck. And then you add some nice pieces. I love that tight end duo now they have. And the last time the Patriots had that tight end duo, they had, Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and they were lighting it up. And for, obviously with all what happened with Hernandez off the field stuff, but still when they were playing, really solid. And I mean, I can see something similar with Henry and Smith. And then you talk about the receivers, and that defense, I think, got a lot better too. They bring back Kyle Van Noy too. I mean, like, they were able to, do a lot of great things, and they were one of them. And also the Washington football team, I like what they did on offense with Curtis Samuel. I mean, Curtis Samuel, I really like, and another guy from the Panthers, and he could play everywhere. He plays the slot, plays the outside. He actually play running back too. So he does everything. And, he's a type of player that last year for Teddy Bridgewater, he was a security blanket too, which you wouldn't think for a guy that can, be a burner downfield. I think he caught like 70% of his catches on third down, which is like, a crazy amount. And he was really, really successful there. So really like that pickup. You put him opposite Terry McLaurin, who was his college teammate back with Ohio State. I really like those as winners. But now we got to get to the flip side with the losers. There's always losers that everyone wants to talk about. And it could be old takes exposed just because obviously these losers wound up being winners. I feel it's always the case with me. But Kayla, we'll start off with you. What's one loser you think from the first week?
One loser? I have so many actually that I was thinking about. Okay, all right, I'll just name all three, and I'll only talk about one. I think that the Seahawks are the losers. I think that Texans are the losers, and I think Bears are the losers. And so I think Seahawks because all of the Russell Wilson drama, and then they haven't helped him at all. They have not added anything to their offensive line. I mean, I think they added one person, but they're really not doing, they are not doing the most right now. So I find the Seahawks to be a loser. They're having a lot of turmoil within their organization. The Texans, obviously, they're having a terrible time, especially with Deshaun Watson. And I think Will Fuller left their team too. So everyone's trying to get out of Texas. They're really losing. Nobody wants to come to them. So I think that that's really hard for them in free agency, just in that they have no draw to their organization right now. Like there is nothing that, I mean, Deshaun Watson technically, but he doesn't want to be there and he might not be there. So I think that they do not have a lot going for them right now. And then the Bears and their terrible move of Andy Dalton. I mean, they have to be one of the biggest, they have to be one of the losers of here. I think that was a bad move. Andrew looked like he was going to contradict me.
No, I wasn't. I wanted to agree with you. I was going to say this. The easy answer is the Houston Texans, but my mom always taught me don't beat a dead horse when it's down. So everyone knows how inept, how awfully run that organization is. I don't have to add on to that and beat them up anymore. But I think Kayla's right. It's the Chicago Bears. I mean, you franchise tag Allen Robinson. That's great. But you have Kenny Golladay is in Chicago Wednesday night. It looks like everything is good. He might sign Thursday morning. Then he makes that flight from the Windy City over to the Empire City, and he doesn't want to leave New York anymore. Now he's been there the entire weekend. He's going to stay. Chicago, I think Kenny Golladay went to Chicago, had that meeting, then came to New York, had their meeting here, and he was like, wait, these are two different franchises. The Bears, the Giants, there's two different types of mentalities. I think the Bears are going nowhere fast ever since they traded up for Mitchell Trubisky and not for Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I think that's a curse on them, something they're going to have to live with. And Galata, I just, with the lack of moves that they've had, I just don't see it getting any better for that fan base. And I guess they'll still have to look back at that 85 year with McMahon and that defense and just hold on to those glory years, because these are not the Bears of yesteryear.
I don't know if you the Bears. I don't know if you guys saw the meme where it was the Wheel of Fortune, and I think the L was in there, and then they said, "I'd like to answer the puzzle," and they said Russ Wilson. Yes. Said, no, Andy Dalton. I was dropped. Just like, oh my God, this is like, because Bears fans were like so into like, we're gonna get Russell Wilson, and we kept Allen Robinson, and it's gonna be all good. So that's definitely, for them to only have Dalton out of all of this is, I mean, why wouldn't they just keep, I guess, Mitchell Trubisky at that point? No offense to Andy Dalton, but I would even rather kept Trubisky at that point. But my loser is, I mean, mine's a salary cap, because everyone thought it was doomsday for the Saints, doomsday for the Chiefs, doomsday for the Bills, and all those teams got under the salary cap. The Saints, everyone thought they would have to trade Michael Thomas, Cameron Jordan, Demario Davis, all their big players. And they got all their core players. Yes, they cut some players like Emmanuel Sanders, Janoris Jenkins, but I think the Saints team will still be, even though they have a new quarterback, Winston Hill, I think they'll be a relatively playoff team. And they were $110 million over the cap to start this season. I mean, $110 million, and they were able to get under there. And now they still have their core. So there was that. So that's the one thing, obviously, with the Saints, I've paid attention close. But the Chiefs, I mean, Kayla, you said they were a winner. They started over the salary cap as well. And then they basically gave one of the biggest free agent contracts with Joe Thuney. And I mean, you look at that, and I mean, that's someone that they paid for, and they used the voidable years, and they, were able to bring that salary cap down, and they got other guys to add on it. And then you talk about the Bills, another team that was right around the salary cap, and they brought in Emmanuel Sanders, former Saint, and they feel like they retained their whole roster. They have Matt Milano, and like seems like they're gearing up for another playoff run. But I mean, for me, it was the salary cap. Everyone was crying about it, I feel, especially in New Orleans. Everyone's like, oh, they're gonna get rid of everyone, and didn't happen to any of these teams. So I think we'll end it on that note, the positive note that every team is now salary cap compliant, and we're ready to go here with free agency.